Yo, 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 I hope you're enjoying your ride. It's time
for the Drive for Five
podcast. Let's go.
That the dream was over. But here's the truth. Your dream is just beginning.
Yes, sir. The XFL.
That shit just gave me chills.
We are back, man. The XFL has coming back to America, a screen near you.
It's actually been exciting too.
After a while being put on the shelf. Back in 2001, we all know Vince McMahon and Dick Ebersol from NBC Sports. Everybody know Vince McMahon from the WWF or WWE now. Started up the XFL from the No Fun League, as they would say, from the NFL, to introduce a more exciting sports football game with more violence,
more fan like experience.
Yeah, man, it's interesting that
it was actually kind of dope back then, though.
Yeah, it had its moments. It had its moments.
Like if you go back and actually watch some of those games, and you see some of those camera angles that you see now in the NFL, yes. and they're zoomed up on the back of the guys' shirts, like He Hate Me, Rod Smart. He was like the big staple of XFL. So like they were always like zooming in, and then you had like the fan fights and
it was
stuff like that. So it was a lot going on.
It was a lot going on, man. It was one of the most, and for NBC Sports viewing, one of the most highly rated sports show. Is also one of the lowest rated sports show. One night having 16 million views, and then others just cluttering out, man, where nobody was watching. I remember one episode. I think
it was just too much going on.
Yeah, when it's your first year in the league, and some people watch it, some people are not, and it's such a big TV program like NBC.
I think the fighting is what got like.
What was a lot of things?
It was a lot of stuff going on, and I think Vince McMahon tried to implicate wrestling and football.
Exactly.
And
you had things like instead of doing a coin toss, you had players running to the 50-yard line, fighting over the ball. There was a no fair catch rule where player safety was just not a part of.
It wasn't a part of the
XFL game at all, and that's part of the reason why you started the league. Though,
I wouldn't have. Me personally, as an ex-football guy, I wouldn't have been a punt return or anything.
No, I would definitely have picked a different position in the XFL.
And then if I'm a punter, I'm pooching everything because I'm trying to get everybody fucking killed.
Yeah, that we'll see. That's how that's where players don't last long in these particular divisions, and it's where leagues don't last long because now you got to concentrate on player safety. And if you don't have players available on the field, then you can't play a football game. Especially those big name players.
I tell my kids all the time, man. Your best asset is availability.
Yeah, definitely, man. So
available, then you ain't no asset.
XFL and the WWF during the previous year in 2001, they only lasted one season. It was supposed to do a second season, but Dick Ebersol, NBC had to cut it off due to the ratings. They lost $70 million back then, which was quite crazy.
That's crazy. That's a lot of dope. That's a lot of bread.
Yeah, man. So like it was a lot going on with the XFL, let alone during this the COVID. Some things have transpired, and we're actually now with new owners of the XFL. We got The Rock, Dwayne
man,
Johnson.
The Rock, man. He's actually I think he's gonna make it. He's gonna make it somewhat relevant. Like if you paid attention to these past like 2-3 weeks of the season, like it's actually been kind of like entertaining.
It's been entertaining. They actually have been filling up the crowds. I know
they got to compete with that USFL, and many people aren't talking about that, but like.
It's a lot going on with the spring leagues now.
With the spring league.
And it's exciting because usually, we see football, we think NFL had a monopoly and it was usually from August to February is when we would see football. And we used to have to wait a long stretch until we see it again. But seeing as though the XFL, the USFL, we actually seeing a lot more exciting football, man. There's some great new owners again of the XFL. Was recently purchased in 2020, I believe, for $15 million by Dwayne Rock Johnson.
If I'd have had that 15 limbs,
that's not a lot for a league, man. You know, some of these football teams are going for a couple of $1 billion.
Right.
Man, listen, so.
If I'd have had them 15 M's, Chris, would have been league owners. Would have been league owners, man.
But I think the new owners, I think they needed these new owners.
I think it's all about the vision.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was getting to. Dwayne Johnson, his ex-wife and current manager, Andy Garcia.
You know what? The more I read into who she really is,
yes. She's
like
the rock behind the rock.
She's the rock behind the rock.
She's the rock behind the rock, man.
She's freaking dope, man.
Goes to say a lot of times,
I wish I could get a chance to meet her and sit down and talk to her.
Usually where you see all the power and the strength because she's a
former bodybuilder. She was a former bodybuilder, so the fact that she's a former bodybuilder, she has some kind of competitive nature in her body.
Yes, and she actually has a lot of other things that she's worked with behind the scenes for The Rock. She's part of his spirit company, Terramano.
She's everything for him. She's him
behind that.
She's him off the camera.
Exactly. She started also partnering him with the 7 Buck Productions, in which they produce movies like The Red Notice, which is on Netflix, Jumanji. Black Adam, actually, which is a DC movie that's actually did
that just came out too.
Just came out, and she's always been big on diversity and inclusion within her workplace. I think they're gonna kind of work that out, man. In reference to creating a actual situation which they're partnering together to actually do some real good business. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They got another partner, Jerry Cardinal. No one really knows about them really much.
One of those behind the scene guys that gets a lot done.
Redbird Capital
gets a lot done.
Yeah, they manage about $7.5 billion of equity for blue chip institutions. They worked with Fenway Sports, which is the Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees, Amazon, and Spring Hill. They actually work with LeBron James and Mav Carter. So
they working with those guys.
Yeah, man. They do a lot of branding. You already know. They do a lot of branding of sports, and I think that they're going to really do a good job at XFL, which is currently being broadcast on Disney.
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be good. I was just watching AJ McCarron the other day, like do his thing.
Yeah, that was a great story. AJ McCarron, former Alabama star.
I just so happened to catch that game. Like, yeah, I just so happened to catch that game. Like, I thought that was pretty dope. Like, what he did,
man. He's been performing. He actually was in the NFL, making about $4 million
with the Bengals
to ride the bench. He played for the Houston Texans as well. Rode the bench and eventually decided he was going to go to the XFL for opportunity to play. So his kids can actually see him play, and for himself, because he's tired of riding the bench. He actually said he missed playing. So,
riding the bench.
Like, you got to think about that, though. Like, if the Rocks gave you, or Dwayne Johnson, or anybody for that matter, is giving you opportunity in spring league to actually play, you got to make that decision. If you ride the bench in the NFL, you don't get much playing time. You're a practice player. What would you do? You gonna jump to the XFL, or you gonna, you know what I mean? Or you gonna sit there and continue to ride the pine?
I'm taking that. I'm taking that because those guys make an average of like $5,000 a week.
Yeah, I think about
$5,000 a week. That's $20,000 a month.
I think the average is about $60,000 for the spring, and that's like 4 months of playing football. Like, I'll take that. I'll take that all day, every day.
And then guess what? And then in AJ McCarron's situation, I'm gonna go right back. I'm gonna take this 80 whatever his contract is. I'm gonna go ahead and take that money, and I'm gonna go right back into broadcasting. So, like,
yeah, you got definitely different options, man. Especially with the experience.
A guy like that has options, man. Yeah. He has options, and if I was him, I would do the same thing.
So how do you see the XFL going from this point on, man? I mean, it's the first inaugural season after a long delay. They have a 5-year deal with Disney at this particular point, so which means that For the most part, they should be on next year, depending on how they do this year. The Super Bowl will be held in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio this year. They just announced that. Do you see him? Do you see him lasting more than a year?
Yes, I mean, I do, and one of the sole reasons why I believe that is because The Rock, he's the next.
Yeah,
he's the next football player.
Yes,
right.
So he has
not only is he the next football player, but he's also he has that knowledge. But at the same time, he was also one of those guys that I think I was reading something about him a couple weeks ago. Somebody published an article. I think the Athletic, they published an article about him, and he was like the number 54, number 55th guy.
His new motto for the XFL, right? It's like this 54 guy.
Yeah, it was something crazy like that, and he didn't get that call, but he thought he was like he should have been playing, and he was like that one extra guy off, based off, NFL is all numbers. It's a numbers game, so
I see it working as well.
I think based off this year and what they've been doing this year, I think they've generated some buzz.
They generate enough buzz.
I think for me, they do make it to a second year, but I think they also have to capitalize on.
They got to build on it.
Yeah.
They have to build on it.
They got to build off that.
I think a lot more players getting more.
They got a lot of big time college guys.
They do, and it's gonna be interesting to see after this year's draft. The guys that don't get drafted, what they decide to do. Like, do you choose the XFL? Do you choose a USFL?
So let me ask
you have a lot.
Let me ask you something, and it's something crazy, right? It sounds kind of crazy to me, but the XFL, you gotta be 18,
right?
Right. So as a high school kid,
interesting. You know
what I'm saying? And so as a high school kid, do you immediately go straight to
the XFL?
The XFL and get that $4,000 or $5,000 a week, or do you try to go to college? So does that affect college football going forward later on?
That's going to be real interesting to see, because a lot of players, they got a decision to make with the NIL now. They're making money in college.
They're making money in college, but here's the thing: a lot of these kids are making money in high school too.
In some states, they're
making money in high school, but at the same time, so if here's my question to you, Coach. Right. Mm-hmm. I'm a big time prospect. Right. I don't have the grades. I don't have the grades, but I'm 18.
Yeah.
Do I go play a couple years in the XFL, ball out, and then take a chance with the NFL? Like, there's so many
options now.
You have options.
You have options now. And you see, that's the interesting thing that a lot of people aren't talking about in reference to what could possibly happen with the XFL, and them being with these kids being 18 and able to play. Is that the options that they have? So now you have a lot of kids who may say, I need the money now.
I need the money now because
I'm gonna go play for the NFL.
Guess what? A lot of these schools are recruiting these kids that need football in order to,
So I got a piggyback question. I got a question off of that. So let me ask you a question. So with that being said, and knowing that the XFL could potentially take some stars away from the NFL, do you see it posing a threat to the NFL in reference to where they have to regulate, or in some way, shape, or form, try to hold the XFL down from taking their star kids?
Nah, you know what? It sounds crazy, but if The Rock gets this really jumped off the ground, I think what the real people that are in jeopardy is college football.
Interesting. And so
because
they can skip college football and go straight to,
because guess what? I can go straight from 18. I can go straight from 18 and jump into making $5. Yeah, whatever kind of thought, and playing professional football, right?
The salaries
and then
grow as well.
The college rules saying, "Hey, man, I only got to be 3 years removed before I can play in the NFL." So now I go play 3 years of the XFL and make my money, right? Because guess what? Here's where I'm thinking, right? I'm just thinking this, and it's kind of premature right now because of the league. But I'm thinking, hey, I'm not one of those guys that's getting those NIL deals.
Right. So I need to figure out how I can compensate
I'm a prospect that I know I can play in this league. I know I can play. So guess what? Me being 18 and I go play in this league, and then I take that chance and I ball out. But at the same time, I'm making this $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a week for these few months. That goes onto my resume to say, hey, I'm playing professional football. I'm playing against these high-profile college guys that done went already and played 3, 4 years, 5 years in college football. Or some of these guys have already been on a NFL roster and have played like A.J. McCarron. And guess what? I'm exceeding.
Right.
So do I take that chance? So I think for me, the biggest people that's in jeopardy is college football.
That's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see with the new NIL.
Just because they're in the middle.
With the NILs being available, some players will get the NIL deals, and they may make more money than they will at the XFL. But at the same time, it is definitely an option for those who don't get the opportunity to get the NIL deals and don't have an opportunity to work with anybody else. So we're gonna go ahead and finish this up, man. It's gonna be interesting to see how the XFL plays out for the remainder of the year and the years coming. How it affects the NFL, how it affects college football. It's just gonna be a great thing to see, man. So,
I'm excited. I'm excited to see. Like, I've actually been paying attention to these games last few weeks, so they've been exciting, and it's been like real football.
It is. It has been real football. They've been real exciting games. And again, I think The Rock has actually found
He's got a vision.
So yeah, this is gonna be interesting to see how this all plays out for the next couple of years.
Yeah. I think he's just got to keep going.
Yeah. We're gonna follow up on this. We're gonna talk more about the XFL. Again, we got the NFL Combine episode coming up as well. As soon as it's all over, we'll go ahead and deep dive into the offensive linemen, defensive linemen, quarterbacks, receivers, DBs, the 40s, the splits, the verticals, all the above. We're going to talk about everything.
The risers and losers.
Yes, sir. Sir.
The winners and losers.
It's the Drop for 5 podcast. Remember, like, share, and subscribe.
We out.
And we will talk to you soon, man.
Share. Hey, share my stuff now.
Yes, sir.